Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Monday. Gorgeous Monday here in Baton Rouge. Hope your week's off to a great start. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. We're with you till 3 o'clock. Chris Demui, former Tiger national champion, going to talk some baseball with us in an hour at straight up 2 o'clock. Got some details on the Jaden Rashada story that I want to get to in the second hour as well. The Athletic did a really good piece, did a lot of reporting on it, saw the dollars and cents and all the twists and turns that have led Jaden Rashada to Arizona State. We'll talk about that in the second hour. Breakcast of SEC basketball over the weekend at 1:30. We'll talk a little LSU and Bama as well. But I do want to start with baseball because it makes people happy, and we want to make people happy on a Monday. So let's do it. LSU baseball was out on the field at the box all 3 days this weekend. I had a chance to hang out on Saturday for a little bit and watch some baseball, and just a gorgeous weather weekend, and the excitement continues to just manifest itself in this town, no matter if it's just me going out to dinner and running into somebody that wants to talk about it, whether it's Twitter, whether it's group text message, or whether you go out and watch them scrimmage. I would guess, I'm not very good at this, by the way, but I know how many people the box seats. I would guess there were 800 people there on Saturday. You had LSU basketball coming up later that afternoon, and maybe that was a kind of make a day of it, go out and watch some baseball, then head over to some basketball. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it's just the excitement level. It's probably a little bit of all of it, but it was packed at the box in terms of watching a scrimmage on Saturday. And I really enjoyed what I saw. I got to see Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd each extend and pitch, and those are two guys that I've told you I believe will be in the rotation on opening weekend. And the velocity from Floyd was there like we expected to be. It was upwards of 95 the majority of his outing, sometimes touching 97. And he did throw a number of off-speed pitches. He was able to land a breaking ball for first pitch strikes. He was able to throw it and get some swings and misses. I thought he threw the ball pretty well. The control wasn't great. He did miss. He missed big a few times, meaning the catcher's having to overextend and catch it up over his head. So it wasn't a perfect outing for Ty Floyd, but the stuff just screams at you when you watch Ty Floyd pitch, and he certainly is an improved guy from the guy that we saw in February of last year, where he was literally throwing nothing but fastballs. And we know that he incorporated a breaking ball as the season went on, and when you saw him pitch against Tennessee in the SEC tournament, he threw a lot of off-speed pitches, because if you just go up there and throw fastballs against that lineup, it's going to be a pretty quick afternoon for you. So he looked pretty good. Thatcher Hurd, I thought, looked good as well. He's just a pitcher. He's got a changeup that he'll throw in any count. He's got a fastball that sits 93 to 95, most of the time right there around 94 miles an hour. He'll spin a breaking ball for sure. And the key with him is he looks healthy. He got touched up for one long homer. Gavin Dugas got him off the scoreboard in left field. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I thought Hurd looked good. It's funny, if that is your weekend rotation of Skeens and Hurd and Floyd, if that's your three guys, Hurd becomes the guy whose velocity is the lowest, and he throws 95 miles an hour. It's a loaded staff in terms of talent, but I thought those two guys looked very good. Each of them gave up one home run. Brady Neal hit one, and Gavin Dugas hit one. Speaking of Dugas, good to see him out there. He hasn't been healthy in a year plus. And every time he thinks he's going to come back, something else flares up. And he's had this deal with his eye that he's gotten looked at multiple times, and it's come back a couple of times. And he finally got to go out there and practice, and he was able to put a big swing on one and hit it off the scoreboard. He's an adequate second baseman. Does it look gorgeous out there at second base? No, not all the time, but he's capable of making all the plays, and I think he will find some ABs there at second base as time moves forward. But it was really good to see him out there. Paxton Kling was out there as well. Those are two guys that had missed a little bit of scrimmage time and practice time over the last couple of weeks. And both guys I saw when I went to the scrimmage earlier in the week last week were down in the bullpen tracking pitches while the pitchers were warming up in the bullpen. They were just standing there with the bat, not swinging, just watching pitches, which is kind of a sign that they're getting close to being able to go back there and resume live hitting. They were both able to go out there and scrimmage over the weekend, which was a very, very good thing to see. I think one of the other things I wanted to mention, Brady Neal hit the home run, as I talked about, hit it off Ty Floyd, got it up in the jet stream. And I don't know if temper expectations is the right word. I feel like when we talk about the catcher spot, which we have a bunch, Milazzo is the first name that comes up because he's the one proven commodity at catcher. You know that he's an elite defensive catcher and he struggled on offense, and you know what Alex Milazzo is at this point in his career. You certainly hope the bat progresses. You hope he can be a productive piece of the lineup. Certainly not going to be asked to carry much of the workload at all in a loaded offensive lineup, but he's going to be out there, and you know what you're going to get from him. I think the tendency would be to look at Brady Neal and just immediately contrast him with Alex Milazzo and go, well, Milazzo's the great defensive catcher, not a great offensive player. Neal's the offensive punch at catcher. Okay, well, comparatively speaking, yes. Brady Neal is a better hitter today than Alex Milazzo is. That is not breaking news, I don't think, to anybody. But most freshmen, now Bregman showed up and just hit like crazy, and that's just not normal. But most freshmen go through a little bit of a learning curve, and it's better to go through a learning curve if you're hitting eighth in a loaded lineup than it is if they ask you to come in and hit second, because you don't feel as much pressure. But Neal is a good hitter. He's also a freshman, and he's also a catcher, which takes a lot of your time to work with the pitchers and catch bullpens and work defensively and understand how to manage a game behind the plate, all the while getting up to speed, swinging the bat. Now, he went to IMG. He played on the travel circuit. He's been in the Perfect Game All-American game. So he's seen pitching near the level of what he's seen. I'm not telling you he faces Paul Skeens all the time in high school, but he's seen more high-level pitching than most high school players because of the level that he elevated to as a high school player that put him in position to do all those things I was talking about, to play at IMG and to go on the travel circuit and to play the Perfect Game All-Star games and all that kind of stuff. But I think if your inclination is to think, oh, well, Neal's he's going to come in there and just be a stud hitter, I think he's going to show moments like he did on Saturday when he pumped one out of the yard. But I also think there's going to be some struggles, and that's okay in a lineup that features Cruz and Morgan and White and Thompson, and the list goes on and on. You understand what you're talking about. But I think I want to maybe push back a little bit on the notion that Neal's like the offensive catcher. If you're going to make proclamations about Brady Neal, the first one I would go is he hits left-handed. And that gives you a huge leg up facing really good right-handed pitchers, certainly on Alex Milazzo, who hits from the right side of the plate. So that was very, very good to see. The infield defense, in my opinion, has been good as I've been out there. I've got some rabbit ears. I tend to maybe overreact to some of the things that I hear during season and narratives that get pushed. And last year, the defense was atrocious early in the season. I mean, just abysmal up in some awful weather up in Ruston against Louisiana Tech. Cautious some SEC games early, one against Arkansas where you couldn't turn a routine double play. You probably lost an Auburn game because ground ball got through the right side that shouldn't have. And it was certainly bad. But I want to kind of wipe the slate clean a little bit on infield defense. And let's just evaluate this team as they move forward. Don't heap the errors of last year's team immediately on this one, especially the ones that Jordan Thompson made in February and March. By now, if you're an LSU baseball fan, you listen to our shows, any of them, you know the narrative on Jordan Thompson. Had the surgery before the season, came out and played really poor defense, played better defense at the end of the year. That's what you know. I think he's going to be just fine at shortstop. He was really smooth in infield practice. I haven't seen him kick one around in really, I don't think I've seen him make an error in a scrimmage. I've not been at all the scrimmages, but I don't think I've seen him make an error. I think the infield defense is going to be pretty good on this team. We'll see what happens at second base, but I think Napolt and Merrifield are very, very good defenders. And I think Tommy White is going to do a pretty good job over at third base. Last point that I wanted to get to on LSU baseball over the weekend. We'll talk with Chris Demui at 2 o'clock a little bit further in depth. Chris was out there all 3 days, so excited to get Demui's thoughts on what he's seen from this team, especially on the mound. But last thing is Jared Jones. The freshman catcher is really making some waves. And I told you 3 weeks ago when I was having some discussions with some people inside the baseball program, I said, it doesn't sound like Jones is going to be a catcher because you got Milazzo and you got Neal, but are you going to get him some at-bats? You think he figures to get some at-bats early in the season? And the answer I got was have to. Have to. He's way too good a hitter not to get him out there and way too powerful a bat. I mean, he's going to slug. And he had an opposite field home run yesterday in the scrimmage. He's built like a brick house. I mean, he's just huge, and he's got big-time power. And I don't think he's going to catch very much, but they're going to have to get him some at-bats, whether that's at DH against left-handers and you let Jobert handle it against right-handers, whether he's going to play a little bit of first base, which he's been working at. Somewhere or another, they're going to find a way to get some February and March at-bats to Jared Jones because there's a possibility. I don't know if it's a likelihood, but there's a possibility he becomes a middle-of-the-order bat on this team. Again, a possibility, maybe not a likelihood, but a possibility he becomes a power bat in the middle of this lineup. That's the kind of ceiling that he's got. And maybe the lights come on and it's college baseball and it's the SEC and he's not quite ready, but he's a big piece to next year's team. That's another thing that was communicated to me. When we were talking about next year's team, which is not something we need to discuss on the air right now, but you start going through the names and you go, well, you're going to have Tommy White will be back and Brady Neal will be back and you're going to have Gavin Guidry and you're going to have Paxton Kling, and Jared Jones. And he was mentioned right in that nucleus of next year's baseball team. So they love what they see from the big freshman catcher, and I would expect to see him early and often out there at the box. So nice weekend out at the box. Can't wait to talk to Demui about it at 2 o'clock, but we're getting close. We got one more weekend with no baseball until June. I think we can make it through. They got a pretty big football game that we're going to talk about a little bit later. It comes up on Sunday, but this will be the last weekend with no college baseball, so very, very much looking forward to all of that. We'll take a time out, come back and talk LSU Bama over the weekend. Tigers dealt another loss on the hardwood. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Download FanDuel now and use the promo code 1045ESPN so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on anything, from the money line to point spreads, who will score a touchdown. It's all on a top-rated sportsbook app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today with the promo code 1045ESPN to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues, no withdrawable free bet. It expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who knows the game problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne.
On Tuesday's OTB, Saints got a new DC. Plus, we'll continue to preview the Super Bowl and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'll be honest with you. I only blocked out 1 hour for the Alabama-LSU basketball game on Saturday. Figured I could watch for an hour and that would go on with my Saturday. But hey, they kept me involved for the entire game. LSU loses Saturday 79-69 to Alabama. Look, it's improvement on the 40-point beatdown they took in Tuscaloosa. It's 106-66. But still, another loss. As I'm watching the game, it's, I talked about it on Friday. I said, I don't see exactly what side of the tempo battle I want to be on here because LSU played at a faster pace against Missouri, took some more quick shots, got up and down, and it got them beat against a team that wants to play really fast. But they played a little bit more freed up, I thought, against Missouri, and they created some better shot opportunities playing more quickly. So I thought, well, maybe we'll want to continue that. You want to play a little quickly, and you want to get some shots up. And then you look at Alabama coming in. Well, they're the fastest team in the country. They literally play the most possessions of anybody in college basketball. So do you want to play their game with a top 5 team, maybe the best team in the country, or do you want to try to slow it down and grind it to a halt, which LSU played at that tempo early in SEC play, and their offensive numbers were putrid. So do what worked last time out against a team that's going to do it a lot better than you, or try to counter that by slowing things down. And it turned out, I think, LSU kind of got up and down with Alabama. And they were competitive. Fountain was fantastic. They made some shots early, and they hung around the entire game. Somehow, some way, Bama managed to pull away and win without making a field goal in the last 7 minutes and 19 seconds of the game. They missed their last 10 shots. And LSU could not chip away into it because LSU couldn't score either, only went 1 of their last 9. So frustrating from a closing perspective, and certainly a competitive game that you didn't do enough to win late. But they are getting a little bit better. And what was the biggest talking point when we discuss LSU basketball, just in the community, day to day, when you're talking about the basketball team? Well, they're not getting any better. Why aren't they getting any better? They're getting worse. Well, that was fair to say at a certain point offensively. They were getting worse offensively as the season went on, and that is concerning because in year one, you just want to see the guys are bought in and that Matt McMahon is coaching these guys and putting them in a position to be successful for their talent level. And you could look at what they were doing offensively and go, this ain't working. And that'd have been right. But if you said that, I think right now you have to kind of revisit and go, well, they're getting a little bit better. Over their last 3 games, which is Bama, Missouri, and Texas Tech, they're scoring 71.3 points per game. They scored 68 on Texas Tech, which is a defensive-minded program. They're not great at it this year, but that's what their DNA is. They scored 77 on Missouri, which is an up-and-down team that gives up a lot of points, but you still scored 77. And you scored 69 points on an Alabama team that is pretty good on defense. Held Vandy in the 40s earlier this week. So 71 points per game, which doesn't sound, like Loyola Marymount in the 80s, but compare it to what they were in the 6 games before that, it's a lot better, almost 20 points better. When you go back to the stretch for LSU of Arkansas on the road, and I'm going back in time, Tennessee at home, Auburn at home, at Bama, Florida at home, and at A&M, the 6 games before this little 3-game stretch, 54 points per game. So they're up 17 points per game from that stretch. They scored 40 at Arkansas, 56 against Tennessee, 49 against Auburn at home, 66 at Bama, and that game was a laugher the whole second half, and they only scored 66 points. Came back home, Florida, 56 points. On the road in College Stations, 56 points. They're playing better offensively. And if you want to roll your eyes and go, who cares, you're still losing, I can't disagree with you on that. They're not doing enough, and I don't want to sit here and give out moral victory bouquets. But the job here is to analyze the team, and certainly there's merit in critiquing Matt McMahon's first year. You want to analyze what Ole Miss is doing right now, it's a waste of everyone's time. They're going to have a new coach in 3 months, maybe 2. So trying to analyze what's going on in Kermit Davis's program is a waste of everyone's time. It's not a waste of time to evaluate what Matt McMahon's doing with this team. Now, I've said many times that you can't necessarily look at the roster pieces in the high school signees and determine what the roster is going to look like next year. You have no idea who's going to transfer out, who's going to transfer in. But Matt McMahon's going to be here. And I think their offense is doing a little bit better. You are playing with a team that is compromised offensively from a talent perspective. Juice Hill has trouble scoring around the rim and is not a great three-point shooter. Trey Hannibal doesn't even shoot jump shots from three-point range. You got a couple of freshmen who are not polished offensively at this level that log some minutes for you. Adam Miller has not shot the ball great, and that's his role. So it's tough. You can't ask him to go out there and average 80. They don't have the players to do that. But they're improving over time. And I was intrigued with what I saw from Derek Fountain. He was 6 of 9 from the floor, was aggressive, shot a lot of shots around the rim off the bounce, knocked down 2 of his 3 threes. He got to the free throw line, drew contact against a team that has some really athletic bigs. Brandon Miller can help protect the rim. Charles Bediako can help protect the rim. Like, they got some guys who are athletes and tall. And Fountain got to the rim, drew contact, went 12 of 15 from the line. He finished the game with 26 points in 35 minutes. And that's a guy that may be able to come back and help you next year. So that's very encouraging. And you only shot 31% from the floor. You take Fountain out of that, it was real rough. In fact, I'm going to do the math on the air because I haven't done that yet. So without Derek Fountain, LSU was 13 of 62 minus 9, 53. I can do that. 13 out of 53 outside of Fountain from the floor. 13 out of 53 is a cool 25% from the floor outside of Fountain. But you found a way to score 69 points because you got to the line by the truckload. 31 attempted free throws. You made 24 of them. And you did make 7 threes. So, again, it's going to be a rare instance. It may happen one time where you look at LSU's SEC box score and go, man, really nice offensive go there. Because the SEC teams can play some defense, and LSU, from a talent perspective, offensively, is not quite where they'd like to be. But they're finding a way. And if it means you got to get 62 shots up and you got to shoot 31 free throws, then play at a faster tempo. Because if LSU slows the game down too much and shoots too many shots late in the shot clock, they're going to go back to scoring 49 points in games. They got to play quick. Hope you get some stops. Hope you get some rebounds. Hope a team has an off day. And that's your recipe to win some games. But they're getting better. It sucks that we have to sit here and claim that a 10-point loss on your home floor where you shot 31% and 25% outside of one guy is some sort of improvement that needs to be acknowledged. But reality's reality. Like, that's what it is. So I'm not going to get up here and moral victory cheer LSU for that. But I am going to speak to what I saw. I saw a team that's still playing hard. I saw a team that's developing a little bit more identity on offense. And I saw a team that put up a better fight than they did against this team 3 weeks ago. And they're getting a little bit better offensively. 71 points per game over the last 3. So hopefully that carries over the next couple of games. You saw Tyrell Ward get his first start, played 20 minutes in the game. Tyrell's just not overly involved when he's out there. I don't know if that's the game plan, that he's kind of not a big part of what they want to do offensively. I don't know if it's because he's timid or unsure of himself or just kind of overwhelmed with the speed. I don't know. I can't get in his head. I can't tell you what the game plan is. So I'm not going to try to speak to that. But I'm glad they put him out there because hopefully that's a guy that contributes to your program moving forward. But again, he just kind of seems a little bit uninvolved more often than not. He did get that one run out where he's got a chance to go up there and finish at the rim and got a shot blocked there. Had one where he drove in there and created some contact but missed his free throws. We'll see if he gets some more time. But he was out there in a starting capacity on Saturday. So that's your look at LSU basketball. Drop a 79-69 defeat to Alabama on Saturday. Next game coming up on Wednesday. It's on the road. Who do they have on Wednesday? I can't even remember, which is pitiful. But they do play on Wednesday night. It is Mississippi State in the Hump at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. So that's a game. If LSU can get up and down and run, that's not what Mississippi State wants to do. Maybe you get them out of their comfort zone. Maybe you can beat these guys. We'll see. But we'll find out on Wednesday. Let's look at LSU and Alabama basketball over the weekend. When we come back, we'll look at some more SEC hoops. Really excited to chat with Chris Demui coming up at 2 o'clock. We'll finish out the hour. A little bit of baseball talk as well. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. Check out our friend David Duvall at onebathandclosets.com. Look, it's not a super awesome time to move right now. A lot of people are deciding against that, but doesn't mean you can't improve your living situation. How much better would your home look with a brand new bathroom? They can do a full-scale renovation. They're a licensed contractor and come in and handle all of it. Or maybe it's just a simple tub to shower conversion. Doesn't take a ton of time, doesn't break the bank, and can make your entire bathroom look, feel, and function differently. And on the closet side of things, we all have different needs in terms of our wardrobe and our closet. Let David Duvall and his team come in, start you out with a free consultation and a questionnaire, and they will get you in your closet of your dreams. Walk-in space, cubbies, mirrors, racks, shelves. They can do it all at One Bath and Closets. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. Their motto, we'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. and backed by the one-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are.
Hannigrove, join us for the Tuesday edition of Handy Time. It is Super Bowl week. We go out to Las Vegas, talk to Dwayne Colucci from the Rampart and the South Point about all this year's Super Bowl props and who he likes in the game. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's a gorgeous weekend in Baton Rouge. You're probably out and about. Maybe kids had games. Maybe you got a chance to play some golf or head out to the park. Maybe did some yard work, go for a walk. You're probably outside enjoying the beauty that was this South Louisiana weekend. Or you may have watched Auburn and Tennessee on Saturday, which was not beautiful. Did you catch this one? Did you see the box score? Oh, my Lanta. Auburn went 3 of 27 from the three-point line and outshot Tennessee. Auburn was 3 of 27 from the three-point line for 11%, and Tennessee was 2 of 21 for 9.5%. That is a combined 5 of 48 from three-point range. Myers is 1. He couldn't do much worse than that. Whew. It was a rock fight of all rock fights in Knoxville. And it wasn't even, I mean, these two teams can play defense. We know. LSU's played them both. Tennessee's the best defense in the country statistically. They've been, these cats were missing shots. They just could not make a jump shot. And it came down to the last play, 3-point game. Auburn raises up, shoots a 3. I've heard people argue both sides of this. To me, it was very clearly a foul. Uros Plavšić, the Tennessee big, got up under the three-point shooter. He was holding his hand straight up, but he got into the body and fouled him on a three-point shot right in front of Bruce Pearl, right in front of everybody. They didn't make the call. I've seen people argue for verticality. It's a foul. That was a foul to me. Should have put Auburn on the free throw line for 3 shots. It did not. So Tennessee gets out with a win, 46-43, in what was the most high-profile game of the weekend in terms of the two teams that were involved, but was for sure the ugliest. Those three-point shooting statistics are embarrassing. But it was a competitive game. Go back to the rest of Saturday's action. Ole Miss was in it late. It was a good second half against Vanderbilt. Two teams both scored 40 points, but in the end, Vanderbilt does outlast Kermit's squad by a final score of 74-71. Ole Miss is just playing so shorthanded. Matthew Morrell did return to the game, but came off the bench, played 28 minutes, gave him 10 points, but he was 4 of 15 from the floor, so not exactly lighting things up. They're just not very good without he and then without who was thought entering the season to be perhaps their best player in Deshaun Ruffin. So Rebs fall to 1-9. They join LSU in that light. Arkansas avoids an absolute disaster. They almost went to South Carolina and lost. They are teetering on the edge of NCAA tournament basketball with all that talent. And they get out of South Carolina with a 2-point win. That's all you need. Just win. But South Carolina had a shot up at the buzzer. And did you see this? South Carolina's leading scorer on Saturday was Josh Gray, former LSU Tiger, not the one that played guard for Johnny Jones, the one that was a center for 1 year under Will Wade. 7-footer, can move a little bit, very raw when he got to LSU. He's now starting for South Carolina. He goes for 20 points and 14 boards against Arkansas. But South Carolina can't get it done. They move to 1-9 as well. So LSU's got some company down there in the cellar. Missouri and Mississippi State. The question was, who wins the tempo war? That's going to be the question again coming up on Wednesday when LSU goes to Starkville. But this was in Starkville. We saw what Missouri did to LSU. They had shot 50% from the three-point line entering the LSU game over the last 2 games. They went nuts from the three-point line against LSU, and Mississippi State drug them down to Starkville, Mississippi, got them in the hump, and put them in the meat grinder. 26% from 3 for Missouri. They put up 23 of them, but they only made 6. And Mississippi State can't play offense at all. They shot 42%. 15% from 3. They were 3 out of 20, but it doesn't matter because they defended, they limited possessions, and they beat Missouri by 11. A very, very tough blow dealt to Missouri, as Mississippi State does not look very good on your resume because of the way they played in the conference play and the easy nature of their non-conference schedule. To lose that game by double digits is going to hurt those metrics for Ole Mizzou. But Mississippi State gets a nice win and get a home game against one of these teams you'd like to think you have a chance to win it. Mississippi State did. Texas A&M just throttled Georgia, just absolutely took it to them from start to finish. They were up 16 at the half and never looked back. They win 82-57, and I hate to say it, this is going to be a tournament team, Texas A&M is. You look at a team that was atrocious before the new year, and they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. They're playing really good basketball right now. Buzz deserves some credit. 82-57, that's a beatdown, a 25-point beatdown, to be specific. And then the nightcap in the SEC, Kentucky and Florida from Rupp. And Kentucky beats the Florida Gators to improve to 7-3 in league play. They win at 72-67. Florida was competitive. They played a lot through Castleton. He took 16 field goals, and he took 7 free throws. He scored 25 points. He was very, very good against Sheboy down there on the block. Oscar had trouble, honestly, with Castleton. Only scored 4 points, but the rest of the guys picked him up. Kason Wallace goes for 20 points. Jacob Toppin has 17 points in the game, and they were able to get it done against the Gators. So that's your look at the Southeastern Conference and how things looked over the weekend. The big one, obviously, was Auburn and Tennessee. That is just that box score will make your eyes bleed if you pay too close attention to it. It was that bad. An offensive product up there in in the Tommy Bowl this weekend. We'll look forward to Tuesday's games coming up on tomorrow's show. This February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $2,000 in a cash prize. We'll also be selecting a local prize winner to receive $1,000 in cash. Sign up now at 1045ESPN.com. I do want to remind y'all that we will have the Super Bowl on our airwaves. You can hear it right here on 1045 ESPN on Sunday. So looking forward to having that. If you're leaving a Super Bowl party, you got to get home, tune us in. We'll have the play-by-play right here on our airwaves. We'll come back and finish the hour with some baseball, and then we'll get to Chris Demui coming up at 2 o'clock. Demui, of course, former Tiger and national champion, was out there all 3 games of the box. Also has a podcast, 60 feet 6 inches. So excited to hear what Demui thought of the Tigers, specifically the arms, over the weekend. We'll hear from him in 20 minutes. Come back with us to close out hour number 1.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community. We are
the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus 2-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together,
Kansas City Chiefs face the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. Tune in Sunday, February 12th, starting at 1 p.m. with Westwood One Super Bowl preview, leading you up to kickoff at 5:30 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing out hour number one here on Palmer Show. I hope your Monday's off to a great start. Chris Demui with us in 15 minutes talking baseball. I want to talk a little bit more baseball here. I'm going to allow me to speculate, please, if you would. I'm going to do a little speculating here. We know that Paul Skeens is going to be the Friday night starter for this LSU team. Jay Johnson's come out and said that. So there's a reason he pitched in the Friday scrimmage the last 2 weeks. I think that's just to keep him on schedule. I believe there's a reason that Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd pitched the Saturday scrimmage. So I think those two guys are in line to be the next two weekend guys. And I think this is pure speculation. No sources, no inside intel, top secret stuff. This is purely Hunt speculation. I think Grant Taylor pitching on Friday against Skeens is an indication to me that he will pitch out of the bullpen a week from Friday. I think things are trending toward Grant Taylor being a bullpen arm for LSU. That's what I'm going to try to extract out of the rotation that we saw over the weekend. And look, Jay Johnson gave me the green light to do some speculating. In his press conference last week, he said, you'll be able to tell by some of the things we do over the weekend kind of where our head's at. Well, I'm speculating right here. That's why I'm here. I think you're looking at Skeens on Friday, Floyd on Saturday, Hurd on Sunday, Grant Taylor being a key out of the bullpen, and he'll be the first guy out of the bullpen or the closer on Friday of the first weekend. And I think you're looking at bullpen roles / midweek starter roles for the two guys you saw start Sunday's game, which was Christian Little and Chase Shores. That's your group. It's Skeens, Floyd, Hurd, Taylor, Little, Shores. 6 guys that I think they're grooming for starting rotation, closer, midweek starter. And I think based on what I saw the weekend, that's kind of the way things are shaking out. Now, I talked about this last week. It's going to be one that I bring back to the forefront here today. There's something to Chase Shores right now. Musso was at the scrimmage yesterday. You'll hear from him on Matt's show, I'm sure. We'll talk to Chris Demui here in 12 minutes about it. But I feel like he's making a move. Musso tweeted yesterday that he threw 4 innings, gave up 2 hits and no runs, struck out 3 walks. You'd like not to see 3 walks, but the strikeout numbers are good. He's stretched out. He's throwing really hard, up near 100 miles an hour. And it just feels like that's a guy who's inching towards becoming a big factor on this team. I thought in the fall, maybe he's a midweek starter, get him some bullpen innings, start to talk to some people. You go watch scrimmages, and I'm watching this 6'8" kid throwing 99 miles an hour, and this awesome lineup that LSU's putting out there is not hitting him much. And I'm just not convinced fully that Floyd and Hurd are total gut cinch locks to go through the whole season and make every weekend start. I hope it works out that way and they're awesome. I hope it's Lang, Poche, Walker with better stuff. Significantly better stuff. But it just feels like any minor slip, whether it's control or maybe a tired arm or maybe it's just a couple of bad outings, and you got this big freshman throwing 100, and you go, give him a start. Because like I said, he threw 4 innings yesterday. It's not like they're letting him air it out for 9 pitches and he's taking a seat. They're stretching him out. He's throwing as many innings as Skeens and Floyd. He's throwing as many innings as Hurd. So it just kind of feels to me like there's something to that. It's exciting. That's a guy, if you remember listening to the show, I went through a pretty stupid exercise where I took LSU's entire signing class the week of the draft, and I gave you the no chance to come to school, 50-50 guys, or he's going to be at LSU. And Shores is in my no chance because he's 6'9" and throws 100. I just thought that's a guy the MLB is going to be all over. But he wanted to play college baseball. He put his number very high, and clearly nobody met it. And I just feel like there's a real chance that Chase Shores becomes a factor in LSU's weekend rotation. If he's just a dominant bullpen guy, that's great because Floyd and Hurd have locked their spots in and Skeens is humming at the top of the rotation. Great. Use him in the bullpen. Big inning, go to him. Tell him to air it out for 9 pitches instead of going 70. But that's just not the feeling I have right now. I'm not ready to yank anybody out of the rotation, but maybe he's the midweek guy that can move into the weekend if need be. Shores is going to be a factor. Last thing here that I want to talk about, and I mentioned this briefly when I was talking about Jared Jones in the first segment, but this lineup is going to change day to day based on pitchers, based on they got all the metrics on how often guys throw breaking balls and who handles breaking balls and all that kind of stuff, wind conditions, stadiums they're playing in. There's a lot that goes into putting a lineup together. It's not just going to be 1 through 9. And I'm having a hard time, and this sounds stupid because he had 18 home runs last year. I'm having a hard time sitting Braden Joubert down against right-handed pitching. Now, against a lefty, that may be a spot where Jared Jones is a DH. But right now, it feels like if they're going to play Pearson and Kling in the outfield, which is certainly not a lock, that Joubert is going to need to play against right-handers. And he had another home run yesterday, off a right-handed pitcher. Just bombed it 450 feet. The power's unbelievable. And so it feels like to me he's trending towards the DH against right-handed pitching. Maybe some outfield at times, but if you heard Jay Johnson earlier this week, if LSU gets a lead and he wants to put a defensive outfield out there, he's going to put Cruz in center, and then we're going to put Kling and Josh Stevenson on the corners. Joubert not going to win any gold gloves at the moment in the outfield, but he can hit it a mile. So that's a guy that I think is gonna have to wedge his way in the lineup one way or another. We saw stretches where he was white hot and stretches where he was ice cold last year. I think if you play the matchups and you just put him out there against right-handers and don't have to worry about those devastating left-handed breaking balls that are really tough on lefties, you've really got something. So my gut tells me right now Jones as a right-handed DH, Joubert as a left-handed DH. But maybe Joubert or Jones forces their hand, and they've got to be in there more often. That's just kind of where I see it right now. Just fascinating what Jay's going to do. I'm just going to be poring over these lineup cards the first couple of weeks because I just want to see what he wants to do, what matchup he wants to play, what buttons he wants to push, who has to get more consistent at bats, who can come in and help you off the bench. It's just a great issue to have that you've got so many good players you can't start them all. But LSU's got that situation. There are just going to be some really talented players every single day that aren't in the lineup card. It's just guys have got to play their roles and accept that that's the way this team has got to operate. It's exciting. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the crowds for these preseason scrimmages are really, really big. This place is a buzz. It's going to be really, really cool. All right, that's going to finish up our number 1 here. I want to remind you, it's the 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver, where you can win $50,000 in cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you've correctly guessed the final score of the game. We'll also be selecting a guaranteed local winner. The 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest is presented by Heineken Silver. All the taste, no bitter endings. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com. I mentioned we will carry the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday right here on these airwaves. That'll do it for hour number 1 here on a Monday. Again, hope your week's off to a good start. We talked a lot of baseball in the first segment about Jared Jones, Ty Floyd, Brady Neal, a lot of guys that we saw over the weekend. Talked a little about LSU and Alabama in that game that LSU lost on Saturday, and then went through our SEC Hoops recap at 1:30. And a little more baseball to round out hour number 1. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, or on Apple Podcast, or on Spotify, or on YouTube. Anywhere you find your audio, or in YouTube's case, your video, you can find The Hunt Palmer Show. Search it. We'd appreciate it if you like, subscribe, rate, review. All that helps us out a ton. Loaded second hour coming to you. Alabama's got a couple of coordinators. I want to talk about that. There's a little bit of an interesting circumstance there that goes around all of it. Jaden Rashada's got a wild story. It was well reported on by The Athletic. We'll get to that. When we come back after SportsCenter, former Tiger national champion Chris Demui will join us. He was out there for all 3 scrimmages. What did he see? That's next. It's The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right. Bayou.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus 2-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Tom Brady's heading to the broadcast booth less than a week after announcing his retirement after a 23-year playing career. Brady told Fox's The Herd with Colin Cowherd he'll begin his role as a broadcaster during the 2024 NFL season. Last year, he signed a 10-year, $375 million deal to be Fox's #1 NFL game analyst. NBA next stop for Kyrie Irving, Dallas. A day after the blockbuster trade from Brooklyn that landed him with the Mavericks, the superstar point guard in Dallas today to take his physical. Looking ahead, Irving's fit with new teammate Luka Doncic. One concern for ESPN's Tim Legler.
I want to see how Kyrie Irving reacts to Luka Doncic's ball dominance, because this is a guy that handles the basketball and controls the basketball to a greater extent than any player in the NBA. And now you've got Kyrie Irving, who also likes to get his hands on the ball first and put that thing on the ground before he has an opportunity to go do his thing.
Irving's Dallas debut Wednesday against the Clippers, 10 Eastern, ESPN TV. Purdue, the #1 men's college basketball team in the country, a third straight week, according to the latest AP poll.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time your car breaks down, don't call it quits. Head to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2 here on a Monday. Last Monday for a long time. Well, we don't have an LSU baseball game to look forward to the coming weekend. You'll know I'm always down to talk baseball. I know another guy that's always down to talk a little baseball. He is former Tiger national champion, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU podcast, talking Tiger baseball. He is Chris Demui. Chris, do you want to be introduced as a national champion, a pitcher, or a podcaster?
I would say national champ pitcher sounds good. Podcast, I don't know how long that's going to last. So.
Well, some of us only podcast, so we can only be announced as podcaster. But yeah, former national champion works just fine. Chris, great to talk to you. How are you?
Doing well, man. Good. I had a good time at the scrimmage yesterday, and thanks for giving me a chance to come on and talk some baseball with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I guess I'll just leave it open-ended to start. What did you see yesterday that caught your eye the most?
Well, for me, I haven't been able to make them all, so that was the first time I've really got a chance to see Christian Little pitch. And so it was really fun for me to watch him, just to see how he goes about his business. He threw 4 innings, and I came away pretty impressed. It was interesting because he's a little different than some of the other guys they've been running out there, to where he has 3 to 4 pitches he can throw at any point in time for a strike. And you saw that yesterday. He was throwing changeups and sliders, 2-1, 3-1, very comfortable. Then he could just throw 2 or 3 in a row. So he doesn't have to rely very heavily on his fastball. That was impressive. Of course, Chase Shores has been uber impressive since he stepped on campus, 6'8" freshman. And I round up, and he hit 100 in my book yesterday, like 99.64. So that counts. He was impressive. And then to me, the one that really stood out was Garrett Edwards. He's been with the program for a while, but he had great velocity yesterday and a wipeout slider, and his 2 innings of work, he was really impressive. So that's kind of what I came away with from the pitching side of things. Those 3 guys really stood out, but Edwards really, really kind of impressed me the most.
Yeah, Edwards is interesting because obviously everybody's pretty familiar with him, and I think there may be some gains there because of all of Wes Johnson and all the technology that LSU's got. I want to get your thoughts on that here in a second, but I do want to go back to Shores briefly. What do you see as his role on this team as a freshman? Do you see him as a potential starting pitcher, or as a guy that just comes in and throws 100 out of the bullpen?
I was actually talking to Musso about that yesterday. I think his stuff is too good to keep in the pen. I mean, could he come in and shut the door for an inning? Yes, but I really think he's more valuable as a starter. I would think they may bring him along slow in terms of letting him have success early at this level, besides facing LSU hitters, and maybe give him some midweek starts. And then I really could see him potentially pushing for that Sunday starting role. I don't think that's really locked down yet. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him potentially starting Sundays in the SEC. If he can give you 4 or 5 on a Sunday, I think that's great. But it wouldn't surprise me. And I think next year the sky's the limit for him in terms of battling for a Friday or Saturday night role.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. They've got a good one in Chase Shores for sure. I was fascinated listening to a podcast that came out from LSU last week. Cody Worsham had Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens, and they sat down and they were talking about LSU's pitch lab, and they were talking about all the different things that are, I don't know if you've ever seen it or been in it or know about it, but they were talking about weight distribution and measuring that on every single pitch from front leg to back leg. They were talking about cameras that show exactly where the ball comes out of your fingertips. They're talking about using the TrackMan and rotations per minute and all that kind of stuff to find out how to get more velocity. When you think about your time and your day and you're playing and you were a college pitcher, would you want all that information, or is that like too much for a college kid to deal with?
No, I mean, seeing how well these guys are throwing and just seeing some of these velocity jumps, I think you're right in both aspects. I think it's great to have all that information, but I think sometimes it could be paralysis by analysis. And I would imagine they do a lot of that work with Wes Johnson on the side. But once they fine-tune everything. But once they cross that white line, he just wants them to go out there and pitch and not worry so much about weight distribution. But it's interesting because I think everything is so fine-tuned now. I would think they're achieving their maximum potential in almost every pitch, every inning in terms of what they can expect from their body. Unless you're like a freshman or somebody who's still trying to add weight and get stronger in the weight room. But like Skeens, after working with Wes Johnson and all this information, I'm sure he knows exactly where he needs to be. His fingers need to be exactly in certain spots for breaking balls or whatnot to maximize the kind of pitch effectiveness. So it's amazing what they have access to now.
It's just wild. It's a different time than it was, say, 30 years ago. It's a different time than it was 10 years ago in terms of the resources in college baseball. I'm curious your thoughts on how LSU should handle the depth of this staff and what you would do in a midweek. Would you develop a 4th starter to say, hey, can you go through 7 innings against Nichols or against Northwestern State or whoever we play on Tuesday? Or would you like to chop it up and let a lot of guys get out there and get their feet wet before you get into the next SEC weekend?
I think that's a great question because I was actually thinking about this last week. We've seen in previous years, and I know I played 25 years ago, we would play Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek games. So you would have the opportunity to let potentially 6 guys throw because you could chop it all up, and then those guys could rotate much like I did to the middle or back into the bullpen on the weekend. But now they only play Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really tough for them to maybe divide the innings up early on to see what they have before they go into conference play. So to answer your question, I think I would have maybe develop a 4th and potentially a 5th starter when you're looking at, let's say, specifically Little and Shores. Let's take those 2 guys, to where they could flip-flop midweek games. One start one week and give you 3 to 4, the other start, give you 3 to 4 or 5. And then the rest of the time, you just don't have enough game time before the weekend to where you can give certain guys 2 innings. And I think it's just going to be 3 or 4 guys throwing 1 inning. And as a pitcher, I guess with some of these freshmen, you may want to leave them out there a little bit longer just to see how they handle things. But with some of your upperclassmen like Cooper and Collins, they don't need more than 1 inning during the midweek, to get right. But I would chop it up. I don't know your thoughts on it, but I would probably try to have 2 starters. And then, once you get past the 5th, just try to get as many people some work as possible.
I talked about this last week on the show. For this team in this program that has aspirations to get to Omaha and make a run there, it's just very unlikely that you're going to blitz through Omaha and only have to play 2-3 games a week. You're probably going to lose a game here or there. You need a 4th guy that you can count on that, hey, I don't need you to go get me like 4 outs. I need you to go get me 6 innings. And I think that this staff is in position to develop that guy, and he may not pitch for you on weekends at times, but I think developing a guy that can go out there every Tuesday for 5 or 6 innings is a healthy thing to have in a regional if you have to get to Monday, or certainly in Omaha if you get into the losers bracket and have to win a couple of games.
No, I totally agree. And sometimes, the past couple of years we've been begging as LSU fans for a consistent 3rd starter.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of have some of those arms in spades. And one guy I kind of keep forgetting about is Nate Ackenhausen, the JUCO pitcher who's left-handed. And I think he's almost a perfect swing guy, right? He he can help out Cooper in the bullpen, so Cooper doesn't get too tired out with regards to his role and getting out lefties on the weekend. But then I think he can easily give you 3 innings midweek, and he's somebody down the road, as long as he continues to develop and they see the results they want, to where SEC tournaments, regionals, supers, and like you said in Omaha, that's somebody that could give you 4 or 5, and it shouldn't be a problem potentially, or at least you know what you're going to get out of him, and he's used to starting games. It's not like you're throwing out your closer and saying go get him for 3. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Chatting with former Tiger Southpaw national champion Chris Demui, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU baseball podcast. Put your pitching hat on here. How would you pitch to this lineup?
Just try to get to the bottom, maybe. I don't want to bore your listeners, but some of the same things these guys see when they go in and look at the board and they see, man, I got to pitch to Cruz, White, Morgan, Dugas, Jobert, Neal, Jones. I mean, these freshmen can flat out swing it. That's the same things we used to see when we saw, Furness, Cressy, McClure, Barbier, Davis, Higgins, Larson. You're like, great, I got to face, these guys who hit 180 home runs last year. But it's I know they're getting tired of facing each other. It's just tough, and I think the thing I'm interested to see, and it's going to take a while, but I think this lineup's going to have some depth. I was worried early on about the top 5 really carrying the team, but the more I see some of these guys hit and some of the interchangeable pieces in terms of position players and DH, I think this lineup's going to have a lot of depth. And guys are going to be chomping at the bit, man, to prove to these coaches that they can swing it. There's a lot of competition still out there right now for certain spots, and I wouldn't want to face them. Good thing I was a reliever, so I may only have to get a couple out. I wouldn't want to have to roll that lineup over more than once.
It's going to be a nightmare for a lot of people to have to get through this ridiculous LSU lineup. Jay speaks with Skip a few times a week. I was out at a scrimmage last week. Skip was in the dugout hanging out, and I know he picks his brain a lot. This is a team that's consensus number 1, that's expected to go to Omaha and compete for a national championship. You played on teams that had that exact expectation, multiple ones. What do you think Skip's telling him about how to handle those expectations over a 56-game schedule as we sit here in early February?
Man, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is those expectations. I mean, they're lofty and there's a lot of pressure, but I still think some of these guys. I mean, this program hasn't been in this spot in a really long time, so I'm sure Skip's trying to tell Jay, like, look, it's great that you would rather be in this position than not being ranked at all, right? Everybody would like to have this type of pressure, but once you roll the balls out, I think Jay and these guys know, especially with some of the older guys and the leadership they provide, the jersey's not going to win you games. You're still going to get every in-state team's best shot. Now everybody knows you're preseason number 1, so all these teams in the SEC are still gunning for you because they want to see, they don't want LSU to come back to the table, and get on a roll like they have been in the past. And it's great, but if you lose a couple games, it doesn't really matter. And in the end, it does. If you don't make it to Omaha or make it through a super or whatever your goals may be, it still doesn't matter. So I think Skip's probably telling Jay, like, look, it's great, but in the end, you got to roll out there and you got to win games. And it's tough because everybody's going to be gunning for you. But just focus on what you control. Control the controllables, and the rest will take care of itself. That's kind of what he told us, and that was the mindset we got into. But you learned it though year after year, and you had the older guys really teach the younger guys what was expected of, to where if you were number 1, it's great, but it doesn't really matter till the end.
That's the only thing that matters in this town, that's for sure. But everybody's fired up for the beginning, which will come up a week from Friday. Chris, been a blast. Appreciate it, man.
Anytime, Hunt. Thank you.
That is Chris Demui, former Tiger left-hander, couple-time national champion, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU podcast. We'll have Chris on a few times during the season because I really appreciate his insight, and it's some of these guys, the names of the guys that are still around and talking baseball in this town. Terry is on here every Friday on Matt's show, and you hear from different guys, and you're talking about guys who lived in this type of expectation level their entire LSU career. If you played in the 90s, you showed up for the spring semester in January, and you're expected to go win a national championship. And fair or unfair, that's what the expectation level is for this team. You're number 1. Everyone says you're the best team. You got 2 guys that might be the number 1 pick in the draft. You've got the returning National Freshman of the Year. You've got 8 guys that throw 97 miles an hour. You should, and that's what these guys lived in their entire LSU career. Patrick Coogan's around. Terrio's around. Demui's around. Blair Barbier's around. Saw some guys out on the golf course yesterday. I saw Basin Katz, Buzzy Heidel, Nate Fury on the golf, and to a lesser extent those guys because they didn't play for Skip. But it's the same type deal. It's just 30 years later. Appreciate Chris Demui for jumping on and chatting with us about a little bit of baseball. When we come back, Alabama's got a pair of new coordinators, but there's a hook to their defensive coordinator hire. I'll tell you what that means coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We all have our systems when we bet, from picking the perfect upset to combing through injury reports the night before the game. But there's one thing every bettor should include in their system: the responsible gaming tools available on the FanDuel Sportsbook. These tools help you keep your play in check and under control. They're tools like time limits, so you don't unknowingly spend more time on the app than you intended, wager limits to make sure you don't bet more than you should, and you can even take a timeout, which pauses your account as long as you may need. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be about fun and entertainment. So visit FanDuel.com/playwell and make responsible gaming tools a part of your game. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. It's Super Bowl week. We're counting you down to Super Bowl 57, and we'll talk Pels and Tigers hoops. Join us Monday 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Athletic obtained a copy of Jaden Rashada's NIL deal at Florida. We'll talk about that in the next segment. I know that he doesn't play here and never committed here, and now he's at Arizona State and should be out of sight, out of mind. But I do think the nature of his recruitment in this new NIL world and the fact that we've got the dollar amounts and the agreements and all the things that fell through now that the Athletic has reported on, I think it's an interesting story. So we'll talk about it coming up here in 10 minutes. But Alabama has replaced its two coordinators, as Saban is prone to do. He's got a coaching rehabilitation clinic over there, and you come into Tuscaloosa, you check in for a year or two, and then you move on up to the next head coaching job or whatever the case may be. That wasn't exactly what happened here, but Bill O'Brien left to go back to the Patriots to run their offense, and you saw Pete Golding leave Tuscaloosa and head over to Oxford, Mississippi to run Lane Kiffin's defense. So Nick Saban in position to change his two coordinators. On the offensive side, he hired Tommy Rees, and I feel like most of the reaction I've seen on Twitter has been pretty negative in nature about that hire. And I don't necessarily get it. Brian Kelly, if I was going to tell you one thing that Brian Kelly did a good job of in his coaching career and what the MO of his programs were, he hires good people. I mean, don't you think he's got a pretty good staff over here at LSU? He threw the keys to Tommy Rees at Notre Dame in his 20s. And Marcus Freeman liked him enough to keep him around. And now Nick Saban's interviewed him and hired him. I think it's a pretty good hire. I mean, I think Tommy Rees is fine. He's never had a great quarterback. I don't know that he'll have a great quarterback next year because I don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year. But I feel like that hire makes a lot of sense. Young, played the position, has recruited, played in high-profile game. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's just fine. The one that I find fascinating is their defensive coordinator search. Now, we know that no matter who is the defensive coordinator in name, that Nick is going to be in control of the big picture of their defense. He may not call the exact blitz on third down, but the defense is going to have the principles of Nick Saban. So who wants to come in and take that job? Well, we know that Alabama really, 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 really wanted to hire Jeremy Pruitt. But Jeremy Pruitt got caught cheating like a dog at Tennessee, and the SEC and NCAA are going, I don't think so. Might want to look behind door number 2 there, Nick. So, how did Nick Saban then approach his defensive coordinator hire? I'll tell you. He went to Jeremy Pruitt. This is according to Tony Tsoukalas, who covers Alabama. Went to Jeremy Pruitt and said, hey, whenever this thing blows over, I don't know when that's going to be, you're my next guy. Who do I need to hire that can run this thing like you so that when you show up, this thing is already running all cylinders? And Jeremy Pruitt said, go hire Kevin Steele. So Nick Saban went and hired Kevin Steele. He hired Kevin Steele as a placeholder until Jeremy Pruitt can come back. That's odd. If that's right. And Tony is an Alabama guy, and I don't think would just be making stuff up. He's reported this online. So go get Kevin Steele so he can run the defense until Pruitt shows up. Is Jeremy Pruitt that good? I never took him all that seriously when he was at Tennessee. But clearly, Nick Saban wants him aboard. So Kevin Steele's name is kind of polarizing in Baton Rouge. I think people didn't necessarily think he did an awesome job when he was here as a defensive coordinator under Les Miles. I think it was a fine defense. It wasn't great. I don't think their personnel was awesome. He did, however, put together the best game plan that anyone was able to put together against Joe Burrow and the 2019 LSU Tigers. He was the Auburn DC under Gus there, and they just rushed 3 or 4, kind of dropped everybody and played coverage, tried to stall LSU in the red zone, and it worked. They did a good job. They held LSU to a low point total, but LSU's defense was up to the challenge that day, and of course the Tigers won the game. Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day. What do you think of the Alabama coordinator hires, Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele? We'll go with, should I do it like from an LSU perspective, like scared? Or should I do, I'll just do it like rate-wise. Very strong, mediocre, very poor. Whatever. We'll go with that. We'll see what y'all think over the next 35 minutes. Here's my thoughts on Alabama hiring coordinators. It's important, sure. But they're always going to be really good. And they're going to have good coaches. He's not going to hire someone that can't do the job. And you can debate the successes of Bill O'Brien or Pete Golding or Jim McElwain or Lane Kiffin, or obviously Kirby was awesome, and Pruitt. You can, whatever. You can grade them all differently, but the fact is that Nick just brought in 9 5-stars in this class. The guys can call plays on both sides of the ball with 9 5-stars out there. So I, as an LSU fan who detests Alabama and that program and want them to fail miserably, don't feel like this is some sort of end of an era because he hired Kevin Steele and Tommy Rees. I think they'll probably be just fine. Does it scare me to the level that Lane Kiffin would? No. So maybe that's the scale you're working off of. But we'll see what y'all think about this one. Nick Saban pulls in Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele to be his new coordinators in the time being until Jeremy Pruitt can come on back. Why don't you quit, Nick? How about that? Why don't you just retire? That'd be fine. Enough already. Say that every year. I'm rewarded with nothing. When we come back, The Athletic, Stuart Mandel and Andy Staples obtained copies of Jaden Rashada's NIL deal in Gainesville. They also did some reporting on the circus that was his recruitment that ended in 2 different commitments, a signing day signature, dropping from a letter of intent, and ended up enrolling at Arizona State. It was a whole whirlwind, but they've got a lot of details, and I find it fascinating, so I'll let you know what those are next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. And in February, we're pumped up to tell you about Simone Malaz. Simone has dedicated her entire career to protecting Louisiana's coastline and helping the state take a leading role on the world stage in terms of environmental restoration. She's a leading expert on coastal restoration efforts. She was appointed to the Governor's Advisory Commission on a coastal protection, restoration, and conservation. She's a member of the state's coastal advisory team, works on a coastal master plan. You obviously know how important our coastline is to our state. It houses 2.5 million people. It supports the infrastructure like highways, ports, pipelines that fuel the country's economy, and it all comes from our great state. And Simone does such a wonderful job with the program Restore or Retreat of ensuring that our coastline is taken care of. And that's why she's a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, whether it's a person like Simone, a nonprofit, or a business that's doing something wonderful to elevate and celebrate our state, go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate them so we can tell their story here on the Hunt Palmer Show. February's champion of Louisiana, Simone Malaz. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day.
Sandegriff hosting Jimmy Ott's Game Time on Monday night from Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. 6 p.m. start on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Okay, so by now you're familiar with Jaden Rashada, 4-star quarterback this past cycle. You know the story. Committed to Miami, flipped to Florida, then wanted out of his letter of intent after he had signed it, ended up at Arizona State. Hand up here. My hand is up. I was wrong in my criticism of Jaden Rashada over the last couple of weeks. I was looking at it from the outside, kind of evaluating things, looked to be a kid chasing money, and I just kind of said that's just not the kind of guy that I would want running my team because I just think every decision you're making is based on money. That's what I said on the air, and it was totally unfair to say. I was out of line. I didn't have the information. It's just wrong. And that sometimes happens when you're doing live radio and you give opinions. Sometimes you try to have as much information as you can and form your opinion. I did a poor job of that. Obviously, I'm not going to go to the links that The Athletic did in reporting it, but now, having read the story, I almost feel bad for Jaden Rashada. So, Stuart Mandel and Andy Staples, who were phenomenal writers and journalists at The Athletic, did some digging on this recruitment, and they found just about everything. And they tell the story. I encourage you to go read it on The Athletic. The Athletic just puts out great stuff. I enjoy reading it every day. But I'll tell you the nuts and bolts of what happened in the Jaden Rashada story and kind of my thoughts on it. So he's a 4-star quarterback, West Coast, great kid. Everybody that's interviewed says just such a nice kid, does work with food banks, nice and pleasant to everyone. Teammates love him. Teachers love him. Great smile, great attitude. People love him. And we have now entered an era where college boosters not only think that they can throw their money around to lure kids in to school, now they think they can do it legally. And Jaden Rashada got caught up in this. And there's some blame to parents, there's some blame to advisors, there's some blame to boosters, but a 17, 18-year-old kid got caught in a whirlwind. And what it resulted in was his commitment to Miami. The report was he committed to Miami for $9 million in NIL guarantees. Now, they spoke with John Ruiz, the writers of this piece. He said it was nowhere close to that. And the number that is floated in this story on the Miami side is about $500,000. But it goes deeper on the Miami side of everyone who was in his class understood that he was not excited about going to Miami. He wanted to go to Florida. But he committed to Miami because they offered him an NIL promise, Life Wallet, John Ruiz, and all those guys, and he committed to it. There's a guy that just signed with Miami who said that, yeah, we had a group text with the whole class. He never responded in it. We knew he wasn't really into it. He wanted to go to Florida. So Florida's NIL collective, which is run by Hugh Hathcock, started looking into it. And they put together a contract. The Rashadas switched NIL advisors. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it is. And Florida struck a deal with the Rashada family through their collective, which Hugh Hathcock runs. He's a booster of Florida. And they put it pen to paper. And I've got the numbers. The Athletic obtained them. He signed with Florida. 2 weeks after signing day, he was due $500,000 up front. And as long as he went with the language of the contract, had one Twitter post per month and one Instagram post per month, did 8 fan engagements, whether it was a conference call, Zoom meeting, outing at whatever to do to meet and greet, 8 of those a year, and signed 15 autographs a year, he was entitled to the rest, which as a freshman was $250,000 a month. As a sophomore, $291,000 a month. As a junior, $375,000 a month. And if he was still around as a senior, $195,000 a month. That all totals up over 4 years to $13.85 million. For reference, which the Athletic puts in this article, Kenny Pickett got 14.1 guaranteed, which is about $300,000 more with the Steelers. So he's entitled to this. He signs with Florida. We're ready to roll. Except the NCAA got a hold of this contract, and the collective started asking some attorneys, and the attorneys looked at this Florida collective run by Hugh Hathcock and said, hey, based on timing, based on you sending out tweets about it being a great day to be a Florida Gator today, the day that Jaden Rashada announced, so you were telegraphing that it was coming and that you had talked to him previous to him committing to Florida while he was committed to another school. This is using NIL as an inducement. This is cut and dry. This is black and white. This is going to get you in trouble. And in the contract that the collective made with the Rashadas, it says that the collective has the right to terminate this agreement at any time. And they terminated it before $1 was exchanged. So essentially, what happens there is he goes to Florida because he wants the money. And now the money's not there. Well, I think I'm out here. Y'all lied. Y'all said you're going to give me $13 million. You didn't. So I'm going to reconsider. Now he's going to Arizona State, where I don't think there's even any NIL money involved. His dad played there. It's out west. And we'll see what money comes our way one day. But as I read this, and I deduce a few things from the reporting done by Stuart Mandel and Andy Staples, I say, here's what happened. the people in his life that are helping him make these decisions got beholden to money on the Miami side and kind of goaded him into doing that, even though he didn't want to. And then Florida way overstepped their bounds and went to $13.85 million. Nobody's going to say no to that. But Florida was in the wrong because they were so brazen about this. And the guy who runs the collective is sending out tweets the day before Jaden Rashada is going to commit. So it's telegraphed for the entire world to see. And now they're going to get in trouble. So now that's no good. And in the end, the kids made a national punchline because the adults in the room can't do anything right. This is the nasty side of NIL that I think a lot of people were either fearful of, unsure of, or just vehemently opposed to. Which is, all right, rich guys, how much money can we throw at these 18-year-olds? We don't even know if they can play or not. Well, clearly we can throw $14 million at a 4-star recruit who was so burdened by this entire process that he went to Elite 11 and kept one-hopping wide receivers. Couldn't throw the ball. This is not Jaden Rashada's fault, in my opinion. This is the adults. This is the people in his corner, the advisors, the parents, anybody who's making decisions there. This is the people down there in Coral Gables who are bending the rules to be kind. And this is the goofballs in Gainesville that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I'm sure Billy Napier is just appalled. And you can say, well, you're supposed to be in charge of your program. These coaches know. Billy Napier can't be in charge of Hugh Cathcock's Twitter account. Yeah, that's a little bit above and beyond the line of duty for Florida's football coach. You got to have a relationship with the boosters. You got to work with the boosters. You got to get help from the boosters. You can't control the Twitter account. So this is not a case of a kid extorting money out of universities. This is a case of a kid being offered massive amounts of money, agreeing to that, and then having the offer pulled because the adults in the Florida collective are just out of control. I feel bad. I should not have said something. It wasn't like I went overboard, but I just said I wouldn't want that guy, after watching this recruitment for the last 3 months, being my quarterback, because I just don't know if that's the decision-making that I want. I don't know that it was his decision-making. Hopefully he gets a little bit out of the spotlight at Arizona State, has a great college experience. But, man, what a circus that was. $13.85 million for a 4-star quarterback who it's just crazy. But I thought the story was interesting, and I think this time and day that we're living in is wild. It's the Wild Wild West. You got to kind of live and learn. Keep the Twitter account silent, boosters. Just tone that down a notch. All right, we'll come back and close it out next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. BayouFord.com is the website. They got the entire inventory right there. They do such a good job of updating the inventory at BayouFord.com. As inventory comes in, they'll let you know about it. As it moves out, they'll update it as well. Go through and check it out. Whether you're looking for the Mustang, maybe a Bronco. Those Broncos are awesome. I'm an Explorer driver. Love my Explorer. Got room for the car seat. Got room for the golf clubs. If you need a little bit more room, the Expedition, always a great option. And, of course, they are loaded with F-150s at Bayou Ford as well. They've got what you want on the lot. Check it out on the website. Start that process today with Ben Gagne and his crew. If they don't have what you want, customize a vehicle. Over half of the customers at Bayou Ford are customizing vehicles now, and it can be turned around in 60 to 90 days, and they will deliver it right to your door with all the paperwork. You never have to set foot in the dealership. Bayou Ford is all about convenience and customer service. BayouFord.com is a website. BayouFord.com is a website. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
On Tuesday's OTB, Saints got a new DC. Plus, we'll continue to preview the Super Bowl and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fast moving show today. 2 hours kind of flew by there, but we can't finish the show unless we play some Take It or Leave It. Taylor Sharp, fire away.
Yeah, let's fire away. You're going to love this one. Kyrie Irving has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka and Kyrie, best backcourt in the league. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. Listen, I've watched Mark Cuban walk away from bad deals dozens of times on Shark Tank. Where was his brain here?
Yeah, this is going to end in disaster.
This is not going to work. I understand that Luka is a generational player for that franchise. He's taken the reins from Dirk. He's unbelievable. Got him to the conference final last year. And they have very little around him, and that frustrates him. So they're trying to do everything they can to keep him around. This is not it. This guy is a nuclear bomb in every locker room he walks into. He's not happy with LeBron winning a title. He's not happy in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant. He's not happy anywhere. There's no chance I would have traded for this guy. I realize they didn't give up that much in the grand scheme of things. They gave up two guys, probably their second best player who's not all that great, and then some draft picks. But this is two of the most ball-dominant players in the NBA on the same backcourt. This is a nightmare.
So you don't think he'll be okay with being the number 2 to Luka?
No. I don't think he's okay being the one with the person he picks after 3 weeks. He's incapable of being happy. It's impossible.
Speaking of incapable of being happy, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a sandbagger.
Nice segue.
Take it or leave it.
Oh, you got to take this one.
I'll take it.
I know that this is not a huge golf audience, but the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am was this weekend. It's the pros, and they play with celebrities. Bill Murray's out there, and Aaron Rodgers. You got, Josh Allen's playing. Like, it's just this whole deal. And there's the tournament, which Justin Rose won today, and then there's the Pro-Am portion of it. And the AMs get strokes. They're handicapped. Aaron Rodgers and his partner won the tournament. Good job. Pro must have played really well. Nope, the Pro was 2 over par. Aaron was like 20 under with his strokes. That is sandbagging, folks. You do that at your local golf course, you will get the stink eye because you are cheating with your handicap. It went as far as Keith Mitchell, who's on the tour, said in his press conference yesterday, yeah, if we get second, I'm counting that as a trophy because Rodgers shouldn't count. It was bad scene for Aaron Rodgers in Pebble.
Jim Boeheim claimed over the weekend that Wake Forest, Miami, and Pitt are buying all of their players. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave this. Jimmy B then had to come back and apologize for that in some forced PR statement that he released. He needs to quit. They're not that good. He's cranky in every press conference. I've seen enough Jim Boeheim. Nice career, sweet zone. Good job with Mello, McNamara. Good. It's time to go. You got to coach Buddy. You got to coach the kids. I've seen too many cranky press conferences from Boeheim over the last 3 or 4 years. It's time to walk on down the line.
You would think if those schools were paying their players, they'd be a little bit better.
Yeah.
The SEC is implementing a 10-run rule through 7 innings on conference play this year. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I love them in the midweek because it gets you out of there earlier. I think you ought to play the game in conference play. Sometimes there's travel restrictions. You got to get on a plane and fly on a Sunday. Like, I get that. Most teams charter by now, and some places are busable. But there's not a real good chance you're going to give up a 10-run lead in 2 innings. But I would like to see you have to use your pitching to get through the last 2 innings. I think there's some merit to that. So it's not like a staunch defending of the 9-inning thing. It's more of like, this is forced and we don't need to do this. I'm out.
Last one. Tom Brady will take 2023 off and will begin his broadcasting career in the fall of 2024. Brady will be a great broadcaster. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I don't feel convicted in that, but Brady's always been a little odd to me. Maybe taking him out of the fire that is competition and trying to win a Super Bowl will relax him. There's no doubt he knows the game and can do it, but there's a niche to broadcasting, and he just seems a little odd to me. Even in like the matches that they play with the golfers and when he's mic'd up the whole time, he's just not real fluid. I'm having a hard time describing it, but I like a little personality in my color guy, and Brady's a little robotic. So it wouldn't shock me at all if he's very good at it. But I guess the best one, he doesn't have any Peyton Manning in it. Peyton's just got the personality. He's got the quick joke. He's got that. And Tom just seems a little rigid to me. So I'm going to leave it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was really good at it. He said in an interview with Colin Cowherd that he's going to take a year off. He's got some things he wants to work through. Obviously, it's a new time in his family life with a divorce and dealing with the kids and raising them and having the first time that he can spend a whole year with them and not have to be pulled to the football facility all hours of the day. So he'll take 1 year off. But he did say that he wants to commit to being the best he possibly can be at it. And that, I believe he will do because he's a perfectionist and he's tireless in that pursuit. So I think he'll work at it. I just don't know if you can create that chemistry and wit and general way about you. I think you are kind of who you are. So we'll see. But I think it's a good hire by Fox to give it a swing because there's a chance it could be a home run for sure. That'll do it for Take It or Leave It on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to an awesome start. We'll keep you rolling throughout the week as we get you ready for the Super Bowl on Sunday. Reminder, we will have the Super Bowl broadcast on our airwaves coming up on Sunday. So if you're leaving the Super Bowl party to head home or wherever you may be out and about, you can catch the call of the Super Bowl right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt Moscona and myself will be out at Rouse's on Friday. We'll both be doing our show from the Denim Rouse's I'll be 1 to 3. Matt will be 3 to 6. We'll be out on location. Alex Bregman's got a huge fundraiser going on this Friday. So looking forward to that on a Friday afternoon over at Rouse's. Hopefully the weather's as good as it's been the last couple of days. Missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All our shows are right there. You can click Hunt Palmer Show. All our sound is uploaded there each and every day. You can also check us out on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. Just search the Hunt Palmer Show and like, subscribe, rate, review. YouTube, every single day, our full show is uploaded to our YouTube channel. Once you subscribe to that as well, and Taylor does an awesome job of cutting up little 10-minute segments here and there, and those are available on our channel as well. So go ahead and check all of that out. Open the show talking baseball. I went to a scrimmage over the weekend, was able to glean a few things that I passed along in the first segment. We talked LSU and Bama on the hardwood. Tigers lose another one to Alabama at home. Recap the weekend that was in the SEC in basketball as well, and then some more baseball to finish out our number one. Chris Demui, former Tiger left-hander and host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU podcast, joined us at 2 o'clock. He was fantastic. Love talking baseball with Demui. We'll do that again very, very soon. Talked to Alabama's coordinator hires and why they're a little bit different this time around at 2:15. And then Jaden Rashada story from The Athletic. Great piece by Stuart Mandel and by Andy Staples. Dove into that before we played a little bit of Take It or Leave It. So that'll do it here for us on a Monday. Jimmy Ott's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Matt Moscona about to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. We will see you tomorrow. Glenn West and Sharif Ishak. Same time, same place. Hunt Palmer Show. 1 to 3 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.